Hi, my name is Becky, and welcome to my Fiber podcast. Welcome to my very first episode where I'm going to talk about everything that I plan to knit this year, or at least 9 of them. A little bit about myself. I am a fiber artist, if you couldn't tell already. I have been knitting for 12 years now. I've been spinning for almost as long. I am a wife and a mother, and I live the glorious life of being a stay-at-home mom. Today I am wearing one of my very first knitted objects. I knit this while I was in college. I picked it up here and there. It was one of those projects, just kind of lingered for a couple months, pick it back up, knitted a few rows, and then leave it in the closet to hibernate. It took me roughly 2 years to finish. I cast it on during my freshman year and completed it during my junior year of college. I knitted it completely out of acrylic yarn, so it's not something I really gravitate towards now. I'm much more attracted to natural fibers, but it is out of my very favorite acrylic yarn, which is not made anymore. It is Wool-like by Loops and Threads. You could purchase it at Michael's, but it's been discontinued for several years now. I have every single color in my stash, so eventually I'll get through it, but right now it's my go-to for any sort of kid knits or for toys or anything like that. But this is the Miss Grace shawl. It is a free pattern on Ravelry, and I knit it out of fingering weight yarn. The original pattern, I believe, calls for worsted, and it's cute. I like it. It's out of my favorite colors. And the original pattern was a very full shawl for a full body, but this is more of like a scarf. So it's cute just to layer on. It's really nothing special, but I am proud of it. It's one of my very first completed knits. It's soft, it's washable, it's enjoyable. I have fond memories making this thing. So first for my Make 9, I would like to make the Ooey Gooey socks by Andrea Mowry. Last year I did complete the Ooey Gooey sweater, and it is one of my favorite sweaters in my closet right now. I plan on making the Ooey Gooey socks using Cascades Heritage sock yarn in black, of course, and also in Queensland Perth in color Tasmanian Bay. This is the original yarn that I used for my Ooey Gooey sweater, so I really want this to match my sweater so it can be this cute little outfit. It's a little hard to tell in the ball, but it shifts into purple and green and a little bit of brown, and it's absolutely gorgeous and I love it. Purple and green are my favorite colors, along with black, so it is something that I absolutely adore and can't wait to have on my feet. I also want to knit this pair of socks because there is a Fleegle heel involved, and I've never knit a Fleegle heel sock before. I've done a classic heel flap and gusset, I've done short rows, I think that's it. I don't really knit socks all that often. I like knitting larger garments. My mom is the crazy sock lady, so typically all of the socks that I have in my closet are made from her. So that is first up on my Make 9. The next item that I would like to knit in 2026 is the Itchel sweater by Catherine Clark. This project has been on my queue for years now, and I need to knit it. I need to. It is my Spooktober sweater of my dreams, and I need it on my body. Why I've procrastinated? Because all these amazing designers have been publishing these sweaters for the past couple years, and as soon as it's published, I'm like, I need to knit it. It needs to be in my closet right now. And this sweater has just been put on the back burner. I have the pattern in my library. I have the yarn for it. All I need to do is just cast it on. I will be knitting this sweater in my absolute favorite yarn of all time, which is a blend of superwash merino, yak, and silk. I'll be using hand-dyed yarn from 2 separate companies. One of them is Greenwood Fiberworks, in black, of course. This will be the main color. 60% merino, 20% yak, 20% silk. And then I will also be using Undercover Otter in the color Bruce. This will be the contrast color. I have knit one other sweater using this exact same combination. That will be the Echo Pullover by Zanette Knits. I test knit that last year, and I wear it so frequently. It's one of those yarns that is a one and done pill. So it will pill quite a lot in the very beginning, but as soon as you remove it, it's not really going to pill anymore. It's a fabulous drape. Since it's a fingering weight yarn, it's quite thin. I live in a warm climate, so wearing thick, woolly, worsted weight sweaters is not something that I can do here. So fingering weight yarns with a little bit of yak in it, which is a very insulating natural fiber, it's something that I can grab all the time. And this specific sweater in October, I love it. I love it. I can't wait to have my Spooktober sweater covered in moons in black and gray. So I will knit it this year. I'm not pushing it back anymore. The next item that I would like to knit in 2026 is the Jaunty Shawl by Andrea Mowry. As you can kind of tell, I really like Andrea Mowry. I have knit a couple things by her, and I love her pattern writing. I love that she designs things with hand-spun yarn in mind. Jaunty specifically is really great for hand-spun yarns. Right now there is a spin along where you spin and then knit the Jaunty. It ends in June, and I am 100% partaking in this. I have always wanted a really thick, big shawl. Like, I don't want to see any of my neck. I want that fiber to go from chest to chin with nothing showing. And I cannot think of a better pattern than the Jaunty. There is one thing about the Jaunty shawl that made me hesitant at first to make it, and that is that it's made entirely in half fisherman's rib. Last year, I knitted a cardigan entirely out of half fisherman's rib for my husband. It is the Gentleman cardigan by Sasha Knits. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love the end product. However, I did get burnt out of the stitch, and I didn't really want to touch it ever again. But because of the spin along, I think I'm just going to throw that out the window and just do it anyways, because hand spun yarn is the best yarn, and I think that will distract me from the burnout of half fisherman's rib. So I think that it will be a very fun project, and I can't wait to do it. The next thing I would like to knit in 2026 is the Lorien sweater by Eleanor Mortensen. Again, this sweater has been on my queue for years, and I think it is the perfect fall sweater. I have plans to completely reuse yarn from a different sweater I had knit. Years ago, I knit the Dark Academia sweater. I don't remember the designer right off the top of my head, but I don't really think she needs that much of an introduction. Gorgeous sweater. I love this sweater so much. But it doesn't fit me anymore. I knit the sweater when I was 140 pounds and super fit. I was a B cup, and I loved it so much. It's super soft. It's in the most beautiful colors, but I will never be that size again. From the very beginning, I did not knit this very well. I had to cut the yarn in these sections because it was super long float, so it couldn't really stretch that well. So whenever I pulled it over my head, I could barely squeeze into it. So I had to cut it, and there's a bunch of knots. Not very good. Also, I made the yoke extremely shallow, so it rode up right in the armpits. So now that I have been pregnant, given birth, and breastfed a baby, my body is completely different. Since this sweater is no longer wearable, I'm going to frog it, and I am going to reuse the yarn for the Lorien sweater. Sometime in the future, I'll re-knit the Dark Academia in sweaters that are a little bit more gothic, probably in a black. What a surprise. And maybe some color changing yarn. I was also thinking of using this yarn, which is the same fiber blend, the Superwash Merino Yak and Silk, but this is from a different dyer. This is the Woolly Lizard. The colors are really similar, but this is a bit lighter and has more peachy colors, kind of like a fall leaf. So instead of this one, which is a lot of yellows, some greens in there, golds, I was thinking of using this one instead. but I'm not too sure. If you have any opinions, let me know in the comments. I would really appreciate that. The next project in my Make 9 is to process an entire fleece from its raw state and into a cardigan. For my birthday last year, my wonderful sister-in-law sent me an entire fleece of Hog Island sheep wool. And at that time, I had no idea what I was going to do because I didn't know how to clean wool. I didn't own a drum carder. I knew how to spin, but only from processed fleece or hand-dyed wool. Everything was commercially cleaned and carded. So I knew that I had to have a drum carder because there was absolutely no way I was going to hand card a kilo of wool by hand while I'm taking care of an infant. Not going to happen. So I acquired a drum carder. I thrifted her off of Facebook Marketplace, and I am going to tackle it. I am going to process this fleece from start to finish. My plan is to spin the fleece into a 4-ply yarn, and I'm not really too sure on what cardigan I'm going to do yet. I was thinking of the Step-by-Step cardigan by Florence Miller just because it's super plain. I really love the Wine Club cardigan that Sari Nordlund published at the end of last year. I also like the Lakes cardigan by, I don't remember the designer, but I'll insert it right here. I also like the Champagne cardigan by Petite Knit, but I'm kind of burnt out of Petite Knit. I don't want to be another person who just knits Petite Knit stuff. No hate to her. It's just everyone and their mother has knit something from her, and I just don't want to be another content creator that knits from Petite Knit. I want to try something different. So if you have any suggestions on what cardigan I should use, let me know. But that is probably my biggest project of this year, and it's going to take the entire year to do it. The next project on my Make 9 is the Maple Leaf Shawl by Natalia Elf Moda. I plan on making this shawl out of my hand-spun yarn. I have beautiful reds and oranges and yellows in my stash, and I really want to knit this shawl. It's gorgeous. I love the unique shape of it. I also plan on putting some stellina in there for a little extra sparkle. But this pattern, it's not often available. When I first came across it, it wasn't even for sale. It wasn't an option. After doing some research, I discovered that this designer sometimes puts it for sale and then takes it back off. So every couple of months, I'd go back and see if it was available. And a couple months ago, it was put up, available again. So I went ahead and purchased the pattern and made a goal to make it. It's still available for purchase as of January 2026. So if you want to go and grab it, I would suggest doing it because who knows when it's going to be taken down again. The next project on my Make 9 is not knitting related or spinning related, but it is to start a whole new hobby, and that is cross stitch. I've always wanted to try cross stitch, mostly because there's so many gorgeous patterns and designs out there, but specifically this design. This is a Proverbs 31 cross stitch. I had bought the pattern when I was on the East Coast visiting my brother and my sister-in-law. We both love Proverbs 31 and aspire to be Proverbs 31 women. And we kind of are called to the whole distaff portion of Proverbs 31. So when we found this pattern, we absolutely fell in love with it, and we made it a goal to do like a little buddy project. The one difference is that we're going to do completely different colors. She is definitely more in the earthy brown and green. Definitely loves browns. But I am more of like a black and jewel tone type of girl. So we would love to have matching cross stitch projects, but just in different colors. The next project on my Make 9 is the Ep.1 shawl by Faden Still. This shawl is knit from tip to tip in garter stitch and in cables with a little bit of lace work thrown in there. You can knit it at several different gauges, but the pattern is completely written in German, and I am not fluent in German. I do know people who speak German. half of my family lives in Germany, and some of them are pretty fluent in English, but none of them are knitters. My mother was born and raised in Germany. However, she learned a lot of knitting terminology in English. So after I purchased the pattern and looked at it, I realized that a lot of it is acronyms that are in German that are not going to be the same in English. It is my goal of 2026 to only spin and knit from stash. So one of the yarns I'm going to have in my stash is going to be made into this shawl, and I'm very determined to have it in my closet. Whether it's out of hand spun yarn or yarn that I already have, who knows? But I do plan on deciphering this pattern from German and into English and knitting it. The next project on my Make 9 for 2026 is the Floret Top by Marie Eve Wedge. It is knit in fingering weight yarn and barrette silk, and it's perfect for the climate that I live in. I have some tops already in my closet that are of a similar cut, so I know that this would look good on me. I have used the Knitting for Olive Pure Silk before, and I don't really care for it. It's quite splitty, and after a while, it feels really dry on the hands. So I want to use the Lana Grossa Seta Pura. I got this at a yarn store that's quite far from me, but I can always get more if I need to. Of course, I'm going to knit it in black. I am undecided if I'm going to hold this by itself or if I'm going to add some of this. I purchased this cone off of Amazon, and it's extremely thin. I mean, look at that. It's very thin, but it has the most subtle sparkle with small little sequins. So if I were to hold it double with the Seta Pura, the sparkle is going to be very, very subtle. I'll probably make a swatch and then decide from that point on. And that is it for my Make 9. Thank you so much for watching. If you would like to follow my progress throughout 2026, be sure to subscribe, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.